What is Frankenstein's monster's name? If you're talking about Mary Shelley's novel, it's Adam. Mary Shelley confirmed that in a letter. But Mary Shelley didn't confirm that in the novel, which leads to different names depending on the version. If you're talking about Dean Koontz's novel, which is explicitly a fanfic of Mary Shelley's novel, which keeps the creature's intelligence and love of philosophy, the creature names himself, and names himself after a philosopher named Deucalion. If you're talking about the Marvel Comics version, he was called Adam in precisely one issue, and he currently goes by Frank. If you're talking about the DC character, he is canonically either Frankenstein's monster or Frankenstein. If you're talking about the Hotel Transylvania version, he is called Frankenstein. If you're talking about the Hammer horror version from the 50s starring Peter Cushing as Victor and Christopher Lee as the Creature. Yeah, that's what he's credited as, the Creature. If you're talking about the Munsters, you missed the point of the question. Who asks what is Frankenstein's monster's name and jumps to the Munsters? But yes, his name is Herman Munster. If you're talking about the Aaron Eckhart version, I, Frankenstein, that version is named Adam. I think it's the only film version where his name is Adam. If you're talking about the 1965 Japanese kaiju movie, Frankenstein vs. Baragon, then I need to listen to you infinite about a lot more stuff. But yes, he is named Frankenstein in that version. If you're talking about young Frankenstein, then Peter Boyle's character is named The Monster. If you're talking about the Monster Squad TV show from the 70s, that character is named Frankenstein. But if you're talking about the Monster Squad movie from the 80s, Tom Noonan's character is named Frankenstein's Monster. If you're talking about the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie, I don't know why, because he's not in the movie. But if you're talking about the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen comic, he is named Frankenstein's Monster. Although he barely appears in the comic, so I don't know why that's the version that you're going to. If you're talking about Van Helsing, I like you. You're cool. And he's named Frankenstein's Monster. Now, I couldn't find a version where he names himself Legion, not because it doesn't exist, but because I couldn't find it. You see, Frankenstein Legion is a terrible search term, because there is a comic called Sherlock Frankenstein and the Legion of Evil, and that's all that comes up under that search term. So if you know what version names him Legion, let me know. But if you're not talking about Mary Shelley's original novel, you're probably not talking about any of those. You're probably talking about the Universal Classic Monsters version starring Boris Karloff. Now that version appears in 7 movies, but only gets to talk for half of one movie. And in that half, he doesn't get to choose a name for himself. But knowing the personality of that version, all he wanted was for people to like him. And for people to think that he's safe, and that he is their friend. And so my headcanon is that if he'd got the chance to name himself, he would have chosen the name Friend. Follow for more film talk.